Well, I know I've spoken at length about Baldur's Gate 3 and my thoughts on the game, but apparently it wins Game of the Year. It wins in all awards, and it's the best game ever to come out. Or is this just another award show that proves that things are just not the same, not what they used to be? Award shows, popularity, all things like that. I've never been part of them. I've never been of the popular spectrum in that sense. So I find it very interesting to watch. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 apparently has a lot going for it. Everything I know of the game has romance. It has murder, death, kill of people, pushing them off cliffs, and even sex with a bear. And, good on you. If that's where gaming is going very soon, where games must include romance, where they must include sexual tensions with many different people on there, it's very interesting to see. And the next few years of gaming is going to be interesting. With Baldur's Gate 3, is this correct? Is this really what we wanted for the Game of the Year? Was it really that good? Probably one of the biggest things I have to say about it was a game that came out in early access 3 years ago. If you compare it directly across to Cyberpunk 2077, which came out about the same time 3 years ago, and then they came out with the Phantom Liberty DLC, which seems to complete the game of Cyberpunk 2077. If the two were to say come out together in 2023, Cyberpunk probably would have dominated over Baldur's Gate 3 in that sense. Who am I to say? I'm not a journalist. I'm just a gamer. I'm an everyday gamer here that sits there and play games. And Baldur's Gate 3 has no interest in what I see in the game. I don't see it as a family-friendly game. I don't see it as a friendly game to stream. I don't see it as a game that pushes me forward as a content creator or as someone out there. The view that I have, and I know a lot of people don't like that. Just putting a Baldur's Gate thumbnail up on my channel seems to generate the down clicks, which is fine. If you want to dislike the video, move on. This is someone's opinion. Baldur's Gate 3 in a lot of ways did things that people haven't seen before. Mostly a game that was out there for 3 years and then went through development, and then they released it out of an early access state. The early access state of a game, you have to sit there and question the legitimacy of being able to be awarded a award 3 years after the game initially came out. Now, when you come out with the game in early access, things and people say, oh, it's early access. They excuse a lot of details with the game, but at the same time, it was the game that came out 3 years ago is not the game it is today. It's much different from what it was. It also leads into people developing mods for the game, and now modders are being banned for it, for changing nuanced stuff in the game that they don't see as something that was positive. They didn't see it as positive, and so they changed it, and then it gets taken down because it's no longer the canon lore of the characters. We've seen this time and time again, but it goes one way and not the other. That's part of what it is. Play the games you want, keep gaming fun, play the way you want to play the game, and mod the way you want to mod. That's all that people want to be able to do. There's always details with gaming nowadays where one side of the coin says you can't do this, the other side of the coin says you must do this, and that's where a lot of the problems arises in the polarization of these games. Baldur's Gate 3, is it deserving of the Game of the Year? I think it was in a weak category. I don't think there was going to be a question of it when you looked at the titles that they put up there. They didn't put it up against Hogwarts Legacy. They didn't put it up against Hi-Fi Rush. They didn't put it up against Armored Core 6. They didn't put it up against some of the notorious titles this year, right? They put them up against remakes, sequels, and other like games that honestly probably were a lot weaker in that sense. And I think the only other game that possibly stood a chance against Baldur's Gate 3 in that category was the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. but everything else there, like, you're going to compare Mario to Baldur's Gate 3, the two just don't even align against each other. Zelda, it's open world. Baldur's Gate 3, sort of that open world adventure style thing. You've got Resident Evil, which kind of does have that open world feel. Alan Wake 2 as well. So when you sit there and you compare what type of games were actually in the list, I don't think there was much else that was going to rival Baldur's Gate 3 in that list, and I think that's why it won. Sure, there is the player's choice, but they only had 10% of the vote for the Game of the Year category. So honestly, it was already proven and chosen when it came down to it. The hype behind Baldur's Gate 3, I think, is way too high. And a lot of people just sit there and love the game, but it's not one that I don't think I'll ever play. Anyway, I've been your Prod Canadian Phoenix Cinder Shadow. I'm signing off here. Have yourselves a great day. And congratulations, Larian. You won Game of the Year. I hope you feel great about it.